like living in Canada, but I don't love living in Canada.
Here's the truth. Can you handle it? I have to explain reality because y'all are crying about grocery prices like...
Most Canadians think that groceries in Canada are too expensive.
Food inflation in Canada is up again.
$7 for a head of cauliflower, a single head, and half of these are moldy.
Now, we have the highest food inflation out of the entire G7, 6.2%.
$8 for fucking bread. Does this look like $8 to you?
Welcome back to Canadian Rant, where we don't sugarcoat what's really happening to everyday Canadians. Today, we're talking about something that affects every single person in this country: food. Canada now has one of the highest food inflation rates in the G7. And somehow groceries are not just more expensive, they're also getting worse in quality. Think about that for a second. You're paying more money for smaller portions, lower quality, and fewer choices. And 2026? It's shaping up to be even worse. Families are walking into grocery stores with anxiety, calculators, and strict budgets, and still walking out shocked. So how are Canadians supposed to survive when basic food is becoming a luxury? Let's break down what's really going on.
Okay, so I live in Manitoba, Canada, for context. Does anyone else think that this amount of groceries costing $320 is a little insane? Like, it's really not that much. I don't know.
$8 for fucking bread. Does this look like $8 to you? Well, it doesn't exactly look like $8 to me. Hold on. $8. $8. $8. $8. $8.
You remember back in May when Mark Carney said Canadians will hold us to account by the experience at the grocery store. Now, we have the highest food inflation out of the entire G7, 6.2%. Seriously, how insane do the prices need to get before Canadians finally realize it's not Donald Trump's fault for this, but it's 10 years of poor Liberal policies that got us here? Back in 2016, a family of four would have spent $150 a week on groceries. Today, $340 a week. So who will the Liberals blame for more than doubling of the grocery prices? Will it be Trump, Pierre, Stephen Harper, or Ukraine? Let me know in the comments. Give me a follow.
Canadians can expect to pay more for their meat in 2026. We already knew that, but did you guys know that it was just announced by the Canadian Dairy Commission that we can expect to also pay more for our dairy? As if our grocery prices weren't enough, we can expect to see an increase to our milk, butter, yogurt, any dairy-related product. So I guess the good news just keeps on coming.
Here's the truth. Can you handle it? So my little conservative friends, here we go again. I have to explain reality because y'all are crying about grocery prices like liberals are sneaking into your fridge at night. Spoiler, they're not. Let's rewind to the Harper years, 2008, 2015. That's when the grocery monopoly era was born. 2013, Harper's Competition Bureau let Sobeys swallow Safeway for $5.8 billion. Safeway was already pulling in $428 million in profit. Now Sobeys owned it all. Regional competition in Western Canada, gone. Prices, up. 2014, Harper let Loblaws buy Shoppers Drug Mart for $12.4 billion. Suddenly, your overpriced grocery store also owned your pharmacy. Monopoly unlocked. By 2015, Canada's grocery market was dominated by the Big Five: Loblaws, Sobeys, Metro, Walmart, Costco, controlling over 80% of sales. Independent grocers squeezed out or bought out. And guess what happened next? Price gouging. With fewer competitors, the Big Five could raise prices without fear. Bread prices? Fixed. Essentials? Inflated. Corporate profits? Record-breaking. Canadians? Paying $9 for lettuce while Harper's friends toasted with champagne. Fast forward, Liberals actually tried to pass a bill to stop price gouging. Guess who showed up with their checkbook to make sure Conservatives voted it down? Loblaws. The same folks raking in billions while you rage at the checkout. So let's be crystal clear. Price gouging didn't start with Liberals. It started the moment Harper's government approved those mega mergers. Conservatives didn't protect you. They protected corporate profits. And every time you cry about grocery prices, you're crying at the wrong team. Next time you're holding $9 lettuce, don't blame Liberals for raiding your fridge. Blame Harper for handing Loblaws the keys to your pantry, and Sobeys the deed to your grocery aisle. Conservatives sold you out for corporate donations and a free box of President's Choice cookies. And now you're paying the bill, literally.
I like living in Canada, but I don't love living in Canada. The prices of the groceries, not it. I actually don't know how, if you have a family with children, how you can afford to feed them other than on like granola bars, because meat being like $20+, like how do you get your protein? And we need protein to grow, and we need protein to get muscle. And it's like, what are people eating? Just like cereal? That's like basically anyone can afford. I can appreciate living in a safe country, but do I love living here? No.
I can't afford to keep doing this. Ooh, it's too damn expensive. How am I supposed to live? No, but really.
It's been another expensive month for Canadians, especially at the grocery store. But why is this happening, and which products are actually costing us more? Well, it's all thanks to grocery inflation. So Statistics Canada is reporting that last month in November, it rose almost 5% when compared to this time last year. So that means that while things like gas prices are going down, grocery prices are going up. And the hardest hit items, beef, coffee, and fresh fruit. And that's mostly thanks to weather conditions as well as tariffs. ATB's chief economist thinks that's one of the reasons why Canada should be looking at producing more locally so that we're less impacted by these external factors. He also says that unfortunately, we're not going to see grocery inflation come down anytime soon.
Most Canadians think that groceries in Canada are too expensive. At the same time, most Canadians think that the main problem here are food retailers. They charge too much, they have too much of a profit, therefore everybody has to pay more and government has to do something about it. Therefore, most Canadians think that it would be good if government somehow fixed this situation. For example, limited the profit margins that food retailers can charge or impose some additional tax on them. The problem here is that that's not going to work and that's not going to help. And to understand why, you need to look into Soviet Union. Throughout the history of the world, every time the government tries to regulate prices for essentials or tries to impose some tax for profit margin, etc., what happens is that those prices get fixed. However, those goods disappear. That's what happened in Soviet Union, that's what happened in Venezuela, that's what happened in Cuba, and so on and so on. At the same time, there is a much simpler way to fix this problem that works, and this way is competition. Food retailers can charge too much only because there is not enough competition. They just don't have any competitors who can outplay them through providing a better price. And that happens because Canada is a country of red taping. It's super hard to become a food retailer in Canada. Therefore, there is only a few of them and they can charge whatever they want. To fix the situation with groceries being too expensive, Canadian government has to focus on deregulating the industry so that more food retailers enter the market and old ones have to adjust. But that's not what Canadian government usually does. Feel free to subscribe, hit this like button, and see you next time.
$43 for some paper-thin steaks? I'm sorry, if you guys are paying this, you gotta see a psychiatrist at that point. That's wrong.
You can buy one bulb of garlic for 50 cents at home. $4 for two. $7 for a head of cauliflower, a single head, and half of these are moldy. Cinnamon spiced honey, $18 a jar. Two for $17. Sparkling water, two for $17. Sparkling water. One isn't a price thing, it's just look at what French people call goldfish.
Crystal Leon.
Just get myself the tiniest goddamn bundle of, for $30, dried flowers. For $30.
Twitter's losing their mind right now about Canada's latest CPI reading, which accelerated to 2.4%, and they're basically saying that the end of the GST holiday is the reason why the year-over-year December to December numbers registered a lot higher this year in comparison to last year. But they always have some type of freaking reason why the inflation rate is higher. Fresh or frozen meat is up almost 14% year over year. I don't know if you could cite GST holiday for something like that. And food from restaurants is up 8.5%. You know, I just went to a restaurant and I ordered a meal. usually wouldn't eat this, but at this one place, it's really good. Chicken and ribs, okay? Cajun chicken and ribs. And I ordered it, and it was like $52. And I remember I ordered this the last time I went to this restaurant, and it had to have been like a year ago, about roughly a year ago. And I'm like, dude, I thought this was like $35. There's no way I paid $51 or $52 for this last time. But then I see this, the chart, which represents that number, and this, and the corresponding chart. And then I'm like, yeah, I probably did pay like $37 for this meal about a year ago.
So I spent $190 in groceries. Oh, 3 packs of chicken thighs, bean ground beef. I got 4 of these. 2 loaves of bread, milk, Greek yogurt, 1 cheese. Oh my god, great idea. Cut this part out. A bunch of these carrots, red pepper, bag of that, tomatoes, potatoes, good bananas, some avocado, 2 30-pack of eggs, 1 full chicken, and some sushi. And that's it. So like, all those items, $190. It's really not much, honestly. Inflation is rampant.
All right, so a big headline this morning was that food inflation in Canada is up again, exceeding 5% year over year, which is insane. Like, the target is supposed to be around 2. And this is the highest inflation for food out of any country in the G7. Like, ours is the worst, 6.2%. That's crazy. Now, what do you guys think the solution is here? Because I don't know at this point what the solution is. The only thing I can think of is there needs to be more competition in Canada, and that's going to take Ottawa needing to kind of deregulate a little bit and stop protecting some of the Canadian chains and the Canadian brands and allow U.S. suppliers to kind of come in and compete. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, it's lower quality, we don't want that, they're not as regulated, all these. Okay, fine. Obviously make sure that these American companies comply with Canadian laws and standards and all these different things. But, I mean, to me, the thing that's going to drive prices down is competition. Like, because we have, 3 main grocery stores, Walmart, Loblaws, and there's Costco. Who else? Safeway, right? And they can kind of just do whatever they want as long as they're kind of close to one another. Nobody's out there eating their lunch. Nobody's out there gunning for them. The Canadian government's protecting them so that they can charge whatever they want. So, can we let in something like Publix or these other chains to see if they can compete? I don't know what the answer to that question is, right? But to me, that seems like the simplest way to bring the prices down. Yeah, it's tough. A few more years of this, and I know there's a lot of people who are suffering right now. Hopefully, it gets better.
Okay, if you've guessed, $554.41. I have never spent so much money at the grocery store, ever, unless it was Costco. And it's not like I got anything crazy. Also, keep in mind, we don't buy pork or beef because we farm it ourselves. So, I don't know how y'all are doing it. How are y'all doing it if you have to buy beef and pork? That's everything I got at the grocery store. Sorry you missed half of it. I'm gonna have to pay for some more storage on my phone. Okay, love you, bye.
Here's the reality that politicians and corporations don't want to say out loud. Canadians are being priced out of eating. Food is not optional. It's not Netflix. It's not travel. It's survival. Yet somehow, we've built a system where feeding your family feels like a financial gamble. Parents are skipping meals so kids can eat. Seniors are choosing between prescriptions and groceries. Students are surviving on instant noodles and canned food. And the middle class? They're shrinking every week. And what makes this even more insulting is the quality is dropping. Smaller packages, more fillers, less nutrition. and higher prices slapped on top like nothing happened. This isn't just inflation. This is corporate concentration, weak competition, global supply chains being exploited, and policies that fail to protect consumers. Meanwhile, grocery giants report record profits. Executives collect bonuses. Shareholders celebrate. And Canadians stand in line wondering how $200 bought 3 bags of groceries. 2026 is supposed to be the future, but it's starting to feel like a step backwards. If food keeps getting more expensive, what happens next? Do families stop eating fresh food? Do we normalize hunger in a developed country? Do we accept that fruits, vegetables, and meat are only for the wealthy? Canada used to be a country where hard work meant stability. Now hard work barely means survival. And the most dangerous part? People are getting used to it. We're being trained to accept less, pay more, and stay quiet. But this is not normal. This is not sustainable. And this is not what a wealthy G7 nation should look like. If you're struggling with grocery bills, you're not alone. If you're angry, you're justified. And if you think something needs to change, you're absolutely right. So speak up, share this video, comment your grocery bill, let people see the reality. And subscribe to Canadian Rant, because we're not done exposing what's happening to Canadians. Because a country where people can't afford food is not a success story, it's a warning sign.